in the bottom left playing Vesper, so one of the high tier characters that wasn't banned. Have Shu versus Vesper, being played by Zeronix as player 2 in the top right. And we are on Headland to Deadland. Personally, my favorite map in this pool, but I know people aren't as big a fan.
Not one of my favorite maps, although I'm very biased, and this is one of 2 maps that showcases things I, as a player, am terrible at. So that is part of my reasoning. Meanwhile, Barrett is amazing on Headlands.
Yeah, it is very much. You have to be very good at attacking on this map, and that wasn't me calling you out there. I just mean it.
Oh no! I even if you were, I would agree, and I understood that. I am not good at attacking.
It is very much a map where you can end up with situations where there are single, they're like horizontal or vertical lines for armies. This map is quite common for that. So what you really want to see in this is a lot of archers. Like, and I mean that genuinely, like I am the archer guy, but this is actually a map where you have to build archers. Like if you don't, you're really just going to struggle to attack into your opponent.
Yeah! Wargroove called this Sedgeland Deadland. That is so true.
Yeah, I mean, Sedge is wonderful on this map because he does combo well with like that playstyle of you get a witch or 2 witches, archers, and then Sedge can just groove the entire enemy army and it's really, really strong.
Unless your opponent full rushes your stronghold before you can get groove, sad.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen some really cool plays on this map. Well, the Cleaner Code's Green Finger play where he built a line of vines for his knights to run along and do crits from. That was really cool. This is also a map where you have to understand things like how far you can send your swords forward early to do captures, because your opponent can, you know, get decaptures with their commander. That can be a big deal. I'm very interested about this position from Shu. I guess it can run forward and capture the center village, but
so there's been some interesting different openings on this map, and I don't think it's ever been settled which one is correct. But ultimately, player 1 tends to have the advantage because they can do everything first. That being said, Zero has shown a knack for proving that they can escape common paradigms, so maybe they'll find a way around that. Also, interestingly enough, if Zero lost the last... Sorry, Zero won the last match, right? So Shu picked the map, Zero picked the position?
That is a good question. Because it's the person who loses gets to choose who picks map and who...
Okay, so we don't know.
So yeah, we don't know.
But whoever did pick the map did not pick the common position. Or their opponent did. I'm not sure. We need more info, never mind.
I'm very curious. I feel like Zero's overextended on 2 fronts, but curious to see if that will be hit by the mate. No, it can't. That sword won't die just yet. Will eat a lot of damage though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like several turns ahead if this left flank just plays itself, and we've got weak sword hits sword, mage decaps village. And then sword goes back, heals, other sword comes in, hits sword, kills it. But nothing hits the mage.
Okay, well
Knight comes out.
Yeah, Knight comes out. That's gonna threaten that left hand side. heavily, and this is interesting because normally what you see is the defending player will use their terror along with like swords and dogs and like maybe even spears. But we're seeing like an aggressive mage from Shu on the left hand side and like a knight to respond to it.
I'm not completely sure, but I think Shu might have erred in a capture. Looks like... Could that village have been flipped earlier? I don't know. They're opening slightly different than usual. Both players went center. That doesn't usually happen. I could be thinking about a different opening. Disregard that.
This is so unusual, like, because I was expecting like a wagon to come out, honestly, from one of the players. And neither of them went for the wagon opening. And Zero, he did this really interesting thing where he skipped on that village on the right hand side until he could use the sword that captured the hideout to capture it. A very unusual turn order, or unusual capture order, I should say.
I am confused by Shu's play so far. This looks like it'll give Zero a free village hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no surround on the knight. Vesper can't really surround either. Oh, but the sword could maybe do like a diagonal surround with the knight. Okay, that's the trap. So if Vesper goes in on the village, Shu could move their Vesper below the bridge, the sword to the river tile, and the knight could hit Vesper from below just for damage, and then Vesper would have no retreat path. So Vesper can't attack the village. Really sneaky by Shu.
That is some incredible positioning. What are you gonna do, Zero?
And the knight is also simultaneously threatening crit on 7 village.
Zero does have a knight in position to hit back, though.
This is true. The important bit is Shu is technically controlling more villages on the two sides.
Okay, and I think this is actually a really smart play. He's probably gonna heal the sword? Yeah, he heals the sword. Mage can't kill the dog. Like, he'll only do 85 to it, and the sword does not have enough health to even, like, finish off, so... Zero now has enough here to, like, shove Shu's small force up here back. He could probably chase that sword down and kill it, to be honest.
I have to say, usually when players are opening, I know exactly what's going on, but I feel like I've had to eat my own words like 3 times during a couple of turns. I think we are watching a very high-level game. Like, they know that this is the last match.
Yeah, the forest is a very safe tile to put your commander in. You can threaten the village from either side while also being very safe. Yeah, it's not like there's like 6 swords here to threaten suicide into Vesper, so... But the one thing I'm really impressed by that they're doing really well this match is they're not allowing free hits for enemy commanders. They've both done like a really nice dance of like keeping their armies from going too deep with capturing, while also like threatening to push back their enemy commander with their own commander. She was being very daring there.
Now, you can afford to be. They're only exposing 2 sides with that move, and it's very, very dangerous to go in there because Shu has double knights on the position, 2 dogs, which can definitely clear a sword without even one of the dogs attacking. And she was about to lose one of the villages on top, so they want to make sure that they can kind of hold their lead here for as long as possible and not give Zeronix anything.
Okay, we have Mage, Sword, Harpy by. So they're not going for any like big advanced units just yet. I would really like to see Archer Balloon come out from one of them though. Maybe not yet. I think he wants to get a second spear out for the set. Spears, of course, being significantly stronger when you have two of them.
But Shu, being very uncharacteristic, has no spears. And I have to say, I don't like spears on this map. They're very slow, and you need a very mobile army. I think if Zero is going to build a spear, a balloon is going to have to come with it.
He honestly, and this is something that we might start seeing in the future, is people just grab one spear to threaten like knights pushing in, so like the spear goes for the counter attack. And you don't use them to lethal knights in one shot. Like you just use them as like a single counter attack unit, so your opponent can't attack into you, because they aren't good on the offense. And like you were saying, like you don't think they're great on this map. I do think you have a good point. It is hard to use them aggressively. They are a defensive unit that is good for counterattacking. Ooh, but he goes Spear Balloon.
Yeah, you've got to have the balloon if you're going for a spear play.
This will of course allow that spear at the front to crit from anywhere, because the balloon will drop the support spear in the correct position. And Zero, he's just going to go for a decap.
Chasing down and killing the sword in the process while putting up a very solid defense.
Doesn't really have much to deal with the Harpy though, which is a little worrying. He's got a mage that's going to come out. Take a while to get where it needs to be though. You don't want to dedicate too much to mages on this map, because knights will absolutely ruin them.
Actually, mages are really, really good here. You want to have at least 3 in your final comp, if not more. They don't just wreck air, and you're going to need them because of the double tower. But mages serve the additional purpose of keeping your commander healthy during prolonged sieges, or changing the value of unit healths to allow for lethals. Especially in the late game where your opponent is spamming witches, a mage is the cheapest counter to a witch you can buy and will really punish that hex by either undoing it or just straight up killing the witch. Zero is playing so fast.
And he's doing... This is a play that's similar to a play Ash made earlier in the tournament. It was really good aggressive. It allowed him to deal a pretty significant amount of damage. He builds a significant amount of groove. He takes this village that's normally pretty difficult to take. And can't really lose too much for it. Like if a knight goes in on, let's say, the dog, the Harpy will kill the knight, or it will deal a significant amount of damage to it at least.
But the knight isn't chained, and the Harpy can be deterred by a mage. I actually think Shu can just go in here. And we were talking about mages. Zeronix really doesn't have a mage nearby. And the closest village is at 2, it's going to be at 3, so that won't be a full heal, even assuming nothing else attacks Vesper. Knight just demolishes that sword. Zero's playing faster than usual, but I think they might have made a couple mistakes, because even if the Harpy goes in, it can just be deterred by a mage, as long as the mage can be defended from the dog sword. Which I think it can be with proper positioning of Harpy Sword. And then those can be backed up by another Mage Sword to counterattack Dog Sword into that. So I think Shu can just attack here and win the fight, and Vesper will be in trouble. And if that knight kills that sword from on high, it'll be even scarier.
He might actually be able to just surround and kill.
Yup. There it is. This could be GG. And remember, this is the exact same tile that Zeronix would have died to Psychoia around the same turn if Psychoia hadn't gotten the UI bug thing. It's very scary to go in right there at that point in time.
Something I would have liked to have seen, though, is instead of this mage running to the tile, I think he could have attacked the dog instead. Because then you're like making it more difficult to deal with these knights.
I think that's game.
You might be right, actually. Yeah, like that was way too deep. Those knights were. I think if nothing else, we're either gonna see Zero tap out, or Zero's gonna think about this play for quite some time.
I don't think there's anything to think about. There is no way to get out of this. If you move all the way to the right, the knight and the dogs kill you. You've got to get the balloon near to get Vesper out of there. You only have like 3 units to cover. Zero might take a while just to make sure, but even if Vesper lives, this is game. And we're seeing a couple of the reasons here is why I think P1 is really strong on this map, because Zeronix's knight was used to take back villages in their territory, but Shu could do that with swords, and then use their own knights just for this fight here. Zeronix's commander could cross, but probably shouldn't have, and would just end up getting stuck over there. Or they could have gone to one side, but Shu's commander would have gotten to the side first. If you go horizontal into horizontal, then P2 can get wagon first. If you build swords before you make sword wagon and heal commander in the right order, you can make that happen. And P1 can't exactly do that in the same order, but they also get some weird builds instead. It's a little bit gimmicky. There might be a way to do it so that it works out so P2 actually gets ahead, but I think P1 usually ends up in a better position, and at the very least, P2 can't just march their commander into that village. Not if you set up correctly. Yeah, Zero's thinking, but there's nothing they could do. They've got to get the balloon in range, get overrun. Knight can crit the maximum space they can escape to, and they've got nothing to cover it.
Okay. That is not a good roll on that. Oh, but gets the kill.
If Zero's found a way out of this, that just shows how dang amazing they are.
I do think they're dead. But they're banking on, I guess, like, double low roll?
Yeah, we can see the dog hit the knight, but ultimately it will do nothing.
Oh, actually, I was thinking double low roll, but you can open up 3 sides on this pretty easily.
Yeah, I think this is game.
Yeah, if Vesper was on full health in this position, I think she could live a turn. But sadly, yeah, the sword above her will die. And Zero did it. I think there are situations where that's a smart, aggressive play to do, but the Knights were just able to absolutely demolish here. And now she's open on 3 sides. We're probably going to see heal come down on Vesper.
Yep. Doesn't even have to, honestly. Mage hit or mage heal. Mage
might
heal.
as well though. Yeah, mage heal. And in a very, very fast game 5.
You're looking for the word there.
Shu is your great Group of War 5 champion.
Yeah. Shu took out Zeronix.
And I'm a bit, I mean, this is funny because this happens, like, Group of War 3, it was like a 5-minute game. And we're seeing something here again with, like, Zero just overextends and Liz's commander.
I think what a lot of it came down to, and there was that game 1 which could have ended on a coin flip, which was in Zero's favor, but we also saw that Shu just played more consistently overall. Shu didn't throw away the wins that they had, and they were able to make the most of bad situations, whereas Zeronix overextended in 2 separate games. And it might look like it's very, very simple because, you know, we're just commentating, oh, if this happens, they could die there. If that happens, oh, look, they're just trapped all of a sudden. But really, if you play against Shu, you'll see it. They don't leave you a lot of spaces to put things that's safe. Shu is the master of defense. And a good defense is I will kill you if you stand here. Yep. I think that last game kind of demonstrated that Zeronix's spear was not stronger than Shu's shield on a map like this.
And that is just... I mean, we were talking about how clean, like, Zero's win was the previous game. This was just, honestly, just a blunder. Like, he walked his commander in, and it died. Yeah, and, like, there was a surround, and he didn't have anything to defend that, so...
It was the same spot, too. It was the same tile versus Sequoia.
I feel like people saw Ashe do that play earlier in the tournament, and were like, oh, I could push in here. This is, like, a bit safer than people might think. And no, it's actually, it's pretty dangerous if you don't have the right setup for it. And she had the right setup to punish that. Double Knight is going to do so much damage. And you've got the mage to ward off anti-air and to drop heal. You have a second mage as well. Like, the Harpy is a blocker. Really strong. Like, Zero didn't have a mage nearby. Instead favoring Spear Balloon.
Like, ultimately, Headland and Sidewinder were Shu's 2 best maps, and Dendritic and Open Season were their 2 worst. We never saw Safe Haven, because these folks are smarter than me and would have banned Volter there. We never saw Safe Haven. Shu didn't want to do that. Zeronix didn't want to do that. They were both confident enough that the other person could take advantage of that. And they both had no idea how good the other person was on it. But Open Season was a game that it looked like it should have been Zeronix's game, and it could have on that coin flip. But Shu was just ready with the crazy Caesar thing, the crazy fast play, the crazy defense, and Shu was able to just take that one on time and pressure. And then we saw Dendritic. Zero just did their thing and won. And Sidewinder could have been 2 wins for Zero, or at least one of them. But just that overextend while they were ahead was too much. It threw it to Shu. And then this final game was another overextend. And ultimately, Shu is so good at punishing that. You have to attack really well into Shu. I think the biggest thing in this entire set was that Zeronix was very rarely ahead on economy, and when they got ahead on economy, the game was just over. Right? But when they were even on economy, then we saw them overextend.
I don't know about that. I mean, there were definitely games where like Zero was winning and winning on economy as well and overextended. So,
Which one?
well, game 3, like they were ahead and then they overextended. Well, that was more with their commander than with their army. Game 1, I think, as well. Actually, they were a pretty good spot the whole game, even when they didn't get the RNG roll, which had a really high chance of like just winning the game right there.
It did.
It really did. So, alas, he did adapt really.
Economy that game.
He adapted really well though.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And he was in the lead towards the end, except on time, and then just ran out of time. 11 minutes on a turn is not a thing you should really ever do unless it's the game-winning turn.
That's how good these two are. We actually disagree on that. I thought Shu was winning that one at the end.
I would favor Zero. Even at the end, I think Zero just had enough damage on the field and was just shoving his army into Shu's and doing a lot of damage each turn. But alas, we have our Groove of War champion Shu. He takes it 2 events in a row. So clearly a player to be feared. I mean, like, a lot of people literally saw that they were playing Shu this tournament and just didn't play him. So I didn't because I was ill. But he definitely won 2 sets in this event, or in the earlier rounds, because his opponent was just like, no, I don't actually want to play against you. So Shu is literally scary strong.